What's up everybody and welcome back to another episode of 5 cool mods for Skyrim Special Edition. This is a series where I show you guys throughout each and every week some cool mods that are coming out for Skyrim. This week we do have an interesting combination of mods. I feel like we have quite a few different armor mods that are actually really cool, but then a few other mods that are a little bit different from some of the mods I normally cover. If you guys do want to support the series, I encourage you to consider subscribing, but also due to some changes in YouTube's algorithm, it's almost more helpful for you to comment down below. So in the comments down below, tell me what is your favorite category of mods, whether it be weapon mods, weather mods, armor mods, etc. With all that being said, I do hope you guys enjoy, and let's just jump right into it. So the first mod I do want to show you guys is the Hedge Mage armor. Basically, it's going to add in this very cool and kind of almost hybrid armor type for mage characters and really female mage characters in Skyrim. It's going to add in these two different armor variants. I'm going to show you the kind of initial normal one, which does have a bunch of different color customization options, as well as the other one, which is going to be a Dwemer or rather Dwarven variant, which actually looks like, again, more of a hybrid one with the armor being built into the robes. And all around, both of these armors do look very cool. On top of that, it actually has its own custom spells associated with it. So basically, after you cast a spell, your armor is going to be assigned a fortify rating, and then the higher level you are, the higher fortify rating you'll get. So in turn, as you use magic and as you develop your magic skills more and more, your armor will become more and more powerful, scaling with you as a character, and obviously then when you hit the late game, it'll still be viable as it was in the early game. All around, I think it's a pretty cool armor. I actually really like that little effect it does add in, primarily because a lot of the different mage armors out there do look very cool, although they're lacking some major kind of component, that being a defense rating. A lot of them are having very low defense ratings, and I don't know, it just kind of ruins it a little bit for me. I like the way this one incorporated magic into a defense rating, allowing it to become more and more viable as your game continues on. So up next we have another very high quality and very cool sword mod. This is going to be Dragonspear. So in order to get the weapon, there's actually going to be, well, you have the option to use a little kind of riddle and quest, and I would definitely recommend doing that. It's very cool and intuitive. I don't want to show you any of it because that would spoil some of the actual mod. Regardless, this does have a few different variants of the sword. Obviously, you do have just the great sword that's going to be two-handed and appear on your back. On top of that, you also do have a one-handed version, but even beyond that, there's actually an option to have either the two-handed or the one-handed version to have a fire enchantment. So basically, when you hit enemies, it'll ignite them and deal additional fire damage per second as it does tick. All around, I think the sword is a very cool and good looking sword, especially when you're using this in first person. I feel like some of the reflections on this sword are much more vivid and just look all around nicer than some of the other sword mods out there. On top of that, I feel like the hilt of the sword itself does look pretty cool. It does kind of have an interesting little dragon design on it, which obviously fits very well into Skyrim and obviously looks very cool, or I guess at least in my eyes it does. It also has that really interesting and cool design running through it, which again, I just really like the look of. All around, I feel like this is one of those mods that you could definitely tell is a standalone mod. Yes, weapon mod packs are very cool, but mods like this just have such a high attention to detail and look so sharp in game that it's really nice to sometimes just download those standalone sword mods and take advantage of the extra detail you have over some of the weapon pack mods out there. Regardless, all around, I think it's a very cool sword and definitely worth the download. Populated Skyrim Civil War. Basically, what this mod is going to do is add in little patrols around all the major faction cities in Skyrim. So if you've ever played through Skyrim, you know there's a big civil war going on between the Imperials and the Stormcloaks. Yet, if you've played through Skyrim, you realize that there's not really that much evidence of a civil war. You don't see battles or really any war going on unless you're starting it or being involved in it. Well, this mod aims to change that. Basically, now as you explore around the map, you'll find some different battles, some patrols, and all around a good, pretty cool time. I actually really like the way this mod's kind of mod page is laid out. There's actually two ways of looking at it. You have a short description, which is going to kind of give you a rough overview of what the mod does, and then a long description that's going to explicitly tell you where the patrols are, where they're going, where battles will be. I would definitely recommend not reading the long description. Just read the short description and play the game, and you'll run into some of this stuff. One of the awesome features that this mod adds in that I actually really wanted to download it for is it actually does have massive battles going on. So around certain kind of volatile regions in Skyrim, you're going to find battle size from 15 to 15 to even some of them are 40 on 40 of Imperial and Stormcloak soldiers. Some of the things may be like Stormcloak soldiers raiding an Imperial camp. That's the one I actually ran into. It's very cool and very organic. Basically, these guys are going to fight to the death, and then whoever wins will run back to their corresponding town that is in the near area. I think it's a lot of fun to actually participate with these, depending on whichever side you are. Obviously, you have to be careful because you're going to aggro the other side permanently. All around, I think it's a pretty cool mod, very similar to some other mods out there, but having a little bit more of a twist with these kind of designated battle areas, which I think is a very cool one. So up next we do have elemental staffs. What this mod is going to do is change the way some of the destruction staffs inside of Skyrim actually look. If you did not know, because I'm sure some of you never used them before, there are destruction staffs in Skyrim that basically you could use them and they'll fire some kind of magic spell of some sort. So that could be a fire spell, a thunder spell, an ice spell, etc, etc. Well, a lot of these staffs actually have varying degrees of power. So you have low, medium, and high power, and actually what this mod is going to do is one, change the looks of all these staffs to making them look a lot more badass and a lot cooler, as well as adding in some new variants which also look equally as cool. But even beyond that, taking it a step further, it's now going to make it so when you're holding one of these staffs or seeing someone else use one of the staffs, you're going to visibly be able to tell what kind of power staff it is. So if it's a high power staff, it's going to be irradiating much more of whatever spell or magic it does have within it, where a low power staff would be much more tame and just kind of look like a stick with some weird shit coming out of the end. Regardless, I think this is a very cool mod, and even if you don't like kind of the visual effects it's adding in, I think it makes these staffs look much more interesting and cool. I definitely did not touch these when I initially played through Skyrim, but this made me much more interested in them and wanted me to use them. It also actually has a bit of an expansion for the Apocalypse mod out there, so I definitely recommend downloading this mod and the expansion and Apocalypse if you do want to use that. All around, it's a pretty cool mod and definitely enhancing the game in a way I didn't even think it needed to be enhanced, but now these staffs look pretty badass, and honestly I'm more leaning towards using some of them now. So last but certainly not least, we have the Daedric Reaper armor. So it's going to be a pretty cool and interesting armor. There's going to be two variants of this, a male and a female variant. I'm only going to be looking at the female variant as it has much higher like assets and all around just looks much cooler. This is part of the DX mini armors collection. Basically that means all this is going to be very modular and very high quality, so all these different armor pieces can be added or removed as you do wish to make it really look like what kind of character you do desire. I actually really like the theme behind this armor. Basically it's crossing a kind of Grim Reaper or death styled character with the Daedric armor, which already had a very evil and dark feel to it, but a powerful one. This is meant to be a very expensive and kind of late game armor, which I definitely think it look and feels like so. It also adds in a pretty cool looking sword. I actually really like the look of the sword. I almost like it more than the look of the armor. I just think it looks so badass, and I really wish this was a standalone mod because I would probably download that also. Last but not least, it does come with a few different hoods so you could change the look and feel of your character. In the initial there, I was using the kind of darked out hood so you can't see the face at all, but then there's a bunch of other ones that'll change the hairstyles. All around, it's a pretty cool mod. With these mods, you know you're going to get a quality mod, and I think this one actually has the theme I like the most. Obviously, it fits into Skyrim pretty well because, well, it is kind of just taking a Skyrim armor and modifying it a little bit. And even beyond that, I feel like it's very easy to get evil in Skyrim, depending on which side you go with, and if you become a vampire or something like that. All around, a very cool armor. I definitely like the look of it, and I definitely think it's worth a download. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I do hope you enjoyed, and just out of curiosity, if you made it to this point in the video, in the comments down below, comment knife. I don't really know how many people watch to the end here, so I just figured I'd give you guys, like, I don't know, just tell in the comments down below. You'll see who else watched to the end, but regardless, as always, I thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.